So imagine you're the author of a universally loved children's series of books. You have millions of fans all around the world. You've essentially become a billionaire from the book sales and from all the money that IP has made you through things like the movies. But now, what anyone thinks about when they talk about you is your transphobia and your tweets. Imagine you are wrongly a well-respected academic and you spend a lot of time working in various different highly regarded universities in America and Canada, and you actually have a very successful self-help book, but also now all anyone thinks about when they think of you is your unhinged tweets. Now imagine you are one of the richest men in the world. You used to have a lot of praise for putting a lot of money into the privatized space industry, for running a company that sold electric cars, for talking about bringing humanity to the stars and saving the earth through these electric cars so you could save the earth from climate change. And now everyone just thinks you are a fascist and all they think about is your tweets. So the three people I've spoke about just there are the three best examples of Twitter as a platform radicalizing people until basically they are only known for one thing: their tweets. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to tell anyone that J.K. Rowling, Jordan Peterson and Elon Musk were ever nice people, were ever good people, but it's also fair to say they were both respected for various different things by society, and also they didn't used to be on Twitter as much, and they didn't used to just tweet non-stop, like could not help themselves, because all three of these people have been radicalized by Twitter. And I've spoke about this before, but why I want to talk about this again, because Elon Musk has somehow exceeded Jordan Peterson with being obsessed with Twitter. And of course, Elon Musk owns Twitter, but that's not what I'm saying. I mean obsessed with tweeting. So this is what inspired the video. I saw this post on Threads. Threads is a Twitter clone run by Meta. So Elon Musk posted 105 times in the past 24 hours, with the longest gap between tweets being 4 hours. He posted in 20 out of those last 24 hours and 38 in the last 48 hours. He's absolutely zooted out of his mind and completely losing it. It's fantastic. And I'm going to show you later in the video, I did my own little research. I went on Elon Musk's page and saw how long it took me to scroll back on his posts to a day before the latest one, right? And as you're going to see, it's just absolutely insane. And I actually made another video a year and a bit ago talking about Jordan Peterson's Twitter addiction, where he tweeted non-stop, every 5 minutes for a day. And with Elon Musk, he has basically radicalized himself from some sort of centrist libertarian to an actual fascist. His whole profile is indistinguishable from any other far-right account. And of course, we all know that's where his politics lie these days. And you could say, well, he's a rich person, right? So of course, a rich person is always going to side with the group that will give him the best tax breaks or will allow him to run his businesses how he wants. And we saw that actual exchange with him and Ron DeSantis, where he hosted the launch of DeSantis's presidential campaign in exchange for DeSantis passing a law which would mean SpaceX wouldn't be as responsible for their employees' well-being. So we've seen that there. But at the same time, I think it's pretty clear Elon Musk has created his own far-right Twitter bubble. This has been happening for the last 4 years, and now he's just firmly radicalized himself into an actual Nazi. And I feel absolutely gaslit by the mainstream media. Why do they not treat this guy like he is a fascist? I do not understand. There is nothing he ever says which isn't far-right. And we even saw this recently because, of course, he was personally boosting misinformation about the recent riots in England. But even then, the media were framing it controversial CEO of Twitter versus the Prime Minister Keir Starmer, not being willing to piss off the powerful by actually outlining, this guy is a fascist and he supports the riots. Why don't people say that? All his tweets are just like xenophobic, anti-immigrant, loads of shit about like white replacement and stuff. Like, this is indistinguishable from 4chan at this point, and he's one of the richest men in the world. So I want to talk about all of this today in regards to Twitter addiction, but also like what has kicked this off recently. Why has he been particularly bad when, you know, he is always bad? So all of that coming up for you today. Please like the video and also follow me on social media at the Kavernacle on mainly Instagram, but yes, I am on Threads as well, and I've been enjoying that recently. But also, if you want to support my work, check out my Patreon. Trying to build up as many $1 to $3 patrons as possible. Benefits include access early to videos which are ad-free on Patreon itself, and also you get access to the Discord server. With all of that out the way, let's get back into the video. So I talked about obviously J.K. Rowling and Jordan Peterson, people who also have Twitter addiction, but I spoke about in the past my addiction to Twitter, which I think I've broken. But in March I actually like deleted it off like all my devices because I was just like, Twitter is uniquely bad for stimulating your brain in terms of there's no filter, right? So you see the worst things ever in terms of footage from like Gaza or Ukraine. And then you also see loads of adult content that is completely unfiltered, but it can just randomly like show up on your timeline or in the comments of a tweet that has nothing to do with that subject matter. So you can just be like about to go to bed and you go on Twitter, that pops up. Or you wake up in the morning and that pops up. And that's part of the reason I quit. But it's hard to quit cold turkey. At the moment, I have Twitter just on my iPad. The reason I re-downloaded it was basically because of the Euros. Then it was the Olympics. And then it was the election as well. And it's just like, there is no place still that can beat Twitter when it comes to like political news. And that's a sad reality of competitors like Threads, which doesn't want to be an outlet for politics really, and also Blue Sky, which is still, you know, relatively small. So even though I've been using those platforms a lot more and I could see myself like actually switching to Threads completely, at the same time it just can't replicate the culture on Twitter. Now, obviously Twitter has also been where I've had my biggest following on social media outside of YouTube. I have 14,000 followers on Twitter. That's basically like completely slowed down since Elon took over, because although my tweets get like a fair bit of engagement, it feels like because I don't have Twitter Blue, it doesn't go anywhere beyond my immediate circle. And that's part of the reason I don't like Twitter, because everyone creates their own bubble, where something like Threads, I've been tweeting about like Star Wars Outlaws on Threads, and loads of random people are liking it. If I did that on Twitter, no one's going to see it. So the discoverability of like trends, I feel like, is better now on somewhere like Threads, which is more fun to just talk about your random passions. But also with Twitter, there's a certain mean culture on it. And I'm not going to pretend like I don't partake in it myself or I don't engage in this, because I find it fun. And that's trolling culture. Like, I like saying shit like Elden Ring, Shadow of the Midtree, and seeing what people say. Like, I'm a sicko. I like that stuff. And I like the community that I built on Twitter over the years. So I understand why people get addicted. And also the algorithm just feeds you shit like that is very, very similar to what you're tweeting yourself. So it's easy to get into this like very political bubble and keep getting shown political stuff, right? You can't really insulate yourself from that if that's all you tweet about. So someone like Elon Musk is clearly being radicalized by his own algorithms, because as his more like liberal fans started leaving him with all his stuff about COVID, he starts tweeting more Republican stuff. He starts interacting with more Republican accounts. And basically on Elon Musk's For You feed, which he'll spend so much time on, as we're going to get into, that will just all be the most fascist shit ever. And again, I'm not excusing this guy being a fascist, because we all know rich people, even if they don't, you know, ideologically believe in fascism, they often just side with it anyway. At the same time, Elon's whole reality is on Twitter, and his reality on Twitter is just literally fascist, tweeting misinformation and trying to stir up like racial hatred, right? That's all he sees all the time. That's what he comments on. That's what he boosts. And that's how he gets his own dopamine hits. People liking his posts about that, because all of his fans are also fascists, right? So it's a cycle of he radicalizes himself, far-right give him attention, he keeps tweeting far-right stuff for attention, his algorithm becomes only flooded with far-right political shit, and that is just what he exists in now, right? So he's completely addicted to the dopamine hits, he's completely addicted to the attention. As sad as it is, he bought Twitter for attention, and there's just no stopping him now. Like, he's just firmly radicalized by his own platform. And although I would say it feels like he couldn't get any worse, I'm pretty sure he can. Even though he turns Twitter into basically like a campaign arm of Trump's campaign for the presidency, it still feels like he could get worse somehow. Now, what has set him off recently is Elon Musk showing what a genius he is. He's obviously in like a massive feud right now with a Brazilian judge because Twitter has been banned in Brazil. And can I say, I actually think the UK should ban Twitter as well. I think Twitter has really no benefit to just society in general. I think you could maybe argue the pro-Palestine stuff, but I think it's dwarfed by the fascist shit. So Tom Phillips of The Guardian, Brazil's Supreme Court upholds ban on Twitter over illegal conduct. So members of Brazil's Supreme Court have unanimously voted to uphold a ban on Twitter after Elon Musk refused to comply with local laws, leading to the social network being blocked. On Monday, 5 of the court's justices were asked to consider Friday's decision to temporarily banish Twitter from Brazil, where the platform had more than 21 million users. By lunchtime, all 5 votes had voted in favour of the ban. Casting his vote in favour of Twitter's continued suspension, Flavio Dino said the company's decision to deliberately ignore a court order to name a legal representative in Brazil suggested it considered itself above the rule of law. Such behaviour risked turning Twitter into an outlaw, Dino added, indicating that he could revisit his decision in the future if the company corrected its illegal conduct. Economic power and the size of one's bank account do not produce some strange immunity from jurisdiction, Dino argued, warning of the risk of private autocrats being allowed to lay down the laws of social networks. Judge Cristiano Zanin also backed the ban, citing how Twitter had systematically flouted Supreme Court orders, first to block accounts that are allegedly spreading disinformation, and then to name a local representative. The repeated non-compliance with Supreme Court decisions is extremely serious for any citizen or legal entity, be they public or private. No one can seek to perform their activities in Brazil without complying with the laws and the federal constitution. Obviously, Elon Musk was close with the last ruler of Brazil, Bolsonaro, and I think was given some sort of bullshit award when he went to Brazil as well. And yeah, so Elon Musk feels like he doesn't need to appoint a legal representative for Twitter in Brazil. They ban it. And in my opinion, from reading about it, it seems like they would be willing to reverse it if he just did that. And also, I feel like he didn't do it out of laziness and incompetence rather than some sort of political thing against the Brazilian government. But yeah, of course, he's been going off on one because Brazil has a leftist government talking about like the woke authoritarians just like censoring free speech around the world. And yeah, it set him off on a new one recently, on a new Twitter spree. And like that post said on Threads, it's just non-stop. Before I show you Elon's tweeting spree, this is from the video I made about Jordan Peterson when he was reaching his like peak of Twitter addiction. And this is how much he was tweeting in just like a very short space of time. But Jordan Peterson doesn't like waiting at all. So just going from the top, so tweeting something about Occupy Wall Street 35 minutes ago, but then 38 minutes ago, he's tweeting at Justin Trudeau. And then 39 minutes ago, a CNN post, but it's something he has to tweet about. 41 minutes ago, no big deal, just a crow doing a spot of snowboarding. Crows and other corvids are super smart, so just tweeting about random stuff. Then retweeting St. Michael's Line, this castle in Europe. Then retweeting himself on the Daily Wire. Then 43 minutes ago, he's talking about sending someone to prison who works at a gender clinic. He's retweeting PragerU. The least free place on earth is the mind ensnared by its own lies. 45 minutes ago, he's tweeting again. 47 minutes ago, he's retweeting himself from 50 minutes ago. 52 minutes ago,
He's tweeting again about how Sweden dealt with COVID. 54 minutes ago, he's retweeting someone. 57 minutes ago, he's retweeting himself attacking Justin Trudeau again. Then he's retweeting some article from the New York Post talking about the censorship industrial complex. Then he's retweeting someone else who detransitioned 59 minutes ago, saying liars and butchers facilitated this and then did this, no forgiveness.
As someone who's used Twitter since 2011, tweeting that much, especially when you're consuming loads of like media posts as well, is just absolute insanity. Like, can you imagine doing that? Anyone who posts on social media, text-based social media, can you imagine writing that much stuff in that period of time? Like, you absolutely have to be like completely addicted to Twitter. So I screenshotted this of Elon Musk's account. This is starting at about 5:30 Thursday the 5th. I don't know when you'll be watching this video. I'm not going to be reading all of them out for you, but most of it is related to Brazil. So these are just his posts. So this means he's tweeted this as like a new thing or quote tweeted something. It doesn't include retweets. It doesn't include like replies to other tweets, which obviously also count. So 9 minutes ago, when I took the screenshots, talking about like posting some stupid meme, he set up a whole Twitter account about the judge who banned Twitter. So 3 hours before that, he was tweeting that. And then there's like a 3-hour spell where he's just tweeting so much stuff about Brazil, but also just like random shit as well. But as I just go through the screenshots, you're seeing how much he's tweeting about so much random stuff, talking about like working for the Trump administration, more stuff about Brazil. And if you notice, these are all like 4 hours after I started screenshotting them. Just loads and loads of stuff about the mainstream media talking about Brazil. Then he has a little break for 3 hours. Then just starts posting random shit. Like, look at this one. Trump or communism. It's no longer Republicans versus Democrats. It's America versus communism. That's a battle America must win. Not immediately, but firmly on that path. And also, yeah, obviously, Elon Musk tweeting that AI-generated picture of Kamala Harris meant to be like a communist dictator. So yeah, 7 hours ago, just quote tweeting loads of random shit about the voting system, quote tweeting stuff that Liz Cheney said about Kamala Harris in the past, obviously pretending he supports free speech by boosting the Internet Archive controversy right now. I'm not going to comment on these now, but just watch the screen and look at all these tweets. Notice the hours, like, and how much he's just quote tweeting stuff, how much he's reading, how much he's boosting. Although it largely revolves around Brazil, it's not purely related to Brazil. So this guy is just like, think about how much he's reading all of this stuff every single day and how much he's just like, I guess, interacting it and consuming it. And a lot of these people are fascists as well. I've just shown you two right here, Peter Sweden and Richard Hanania. And again, we still haven't reached 24 hours and I'm still showing you more and more tweets of this guy just talking so much fucking garbage. So as I conclude the video, I just want to play you me scrolling Elon Musk's feed. So this is me scrolling at a decent pace of everything he's done on Twitter over the last day. And just have a look at how much he's just on it. And please just notice how much this stuff is far-right politics as well. So Elon Musk, one of the world's most powerful men, one of the world's richest men, has created a Nazi echo chamber for himself on a social media platform he bought just for his own vanity. He's clearly a guy, very clearly, a guy who's desperate for attention, a guy who's been deprived of a lot of validation in his own personal life, so he seeks it out from basically any community on Twitter. And it's pretty clear, in my opinion, Elon Musk doesn't really have political principles. Like, he doesn't really give a shit about most things to do with politics. He just likes anyone who likes him. Kind of reminds me of like earlier Donald Trump in some ways, and that's why he's firmly in bed with the far right now. It's not because he suddenly woke up one day and thought, oh, I want to be a fascist. He started grifting off them because they're probably the most gullible people. But then what happens is he gets into the community, he gets into the echo chamber, and he just starts believing everything they say. And when, you know, you've seen interviews where he is confronted on this stuff, he doesn't even seem to understand what it is. And he's simply just doing it for this dopamine hit, for this validation. But I think fundamentally it's clear this guy is deeply unstable. And this guy, even owning this social media platform, shouldn't be legal. And I would say at this point, I wouldn't say Twitter should be nationalized. I think Facebook should be nationalized. I think Twitter should just be banned in most countries, to be honest. I don't even really consider it a free speech issue at this point because Twitter isn't a free speech platform. Elon Musk regularly complies with censorship from like the Indian government, from any government that makes him do it, while pretending just because a country like Brazil banned him, because they don't want him to abuse his power, that he's acting like now he's the one being censored. For me, I don't like the takeover of social media, obviously, by very, very powerful billionaires. And I think Facebook is the worst example because now they have WhatsApp, Threads, Instagram, and Facebook, right? That is way too much power for one company to have. So I think it should be nationalized by various governments, or they should be forced to sell a majority stake to different governments around the world. I don't know exactly how it would play out, but these groups and these billionaires, they're just unaccountable on their personal social media platforms. Zuckerberg is smarter because he doesn't spend all day posting on Facebook to like sycophantic fascists and stuff. But at the same time, he's part of the same problem that these people just control our discourse so much. And here's the scary thought. Elon Musk introduced the verification system, right? Where you can get your own post boosted and pay for verification. And Mark Zuckerberg doesn't think, oh, this is a bad idea. He actually introduces it to on his own platforms as well. Because they are all, at the end of the day, concerned with money than they are concerned with any semblance of political principles like free speech, right? I would be surprised if Zuckerberg ever gets radicalized by his own social media platform, but that could still happen as well. So that's it for the video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.